Hi folks, this is excellent turnout. I'm so excited to see you all here. My name's Hannah, I'm the campaign manager for Perry. And it looks like we have just a few more folks who are trickling in. So we're gonna give it just another minute, but I wanna encourage you all we're gonna have you on mute through the rally, but at the end we will have Q&A. I want to encourage you all to turn your video on so we can see your beautiful faces. We want to see all that energy. Feel free, again, you're going to be on mute, but if you want to clap, make sure that you clap so that your hands are up here. Make sure to hoot and holler so we can see you. This is a rally, even though it's virtual. Yeah, we're just going to give it 60 more seconds, which I know in Zoom world is about 15 minutes in a waiting room, but just give it a couple more seconds and then we will get started. Okay, we are going to officially kick this thing off. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for jumping on. If you can't see, we have over 60 people on this call, which is super exciting. Just so you know, my name's Hannah. I'm Perry Gershon's campaign manager. And we are at this point, we've got a week and a couple days until Election Day. So it's really critical that you all are here. Thank you so much for turning up. We really need to make sure that each and every person on this call is getting out the vote. Thanks everyone again for jumping on. Just some quick housekeeping items. Please turn your video on so we can see you. We'd love to see you. If you want to clap and hoot and holler, do so in your living room, but just so you know, you're on mute. At the end, we will have Perry give some Q&A. But before we get started with having Perry say something, I want to introduce a few speakers, people who come from organizations that have endorsed Perry in this primary, which is a huge deal for us. To start it off, we are going to have Dick Amper. He is chair of the Long Island Environmental Voters Forum, and he's going to talk a little bit about this election. So Logan, if you can please unmute Dick, that would be great. And then we will, I'm going to go ahead and do it. All right, Dick, you're good to go. Dick, go ahead. You can speak if you want.
Well, the number one priority for Long Island environmentally is water quality. And whether we're talking about Brookhaven or the East End, we've got some serious problems with nitrogen in water, waste, certain amount of stuff we're putting on lawns and other sorts of things. So we're trying to improve water quality. It's the number one priority of the Long Island Environmental Voters Forum. We've been around for about 20 years. And what we're trying to do is to make this a priority. In fact, it is the highest priority of this organization in this year's election because we think Perry Gershon has made a commitment to getting past this problem of the fish kills and the bays and beaches that have been closed. We've got to make a top priority of this area. And he's just the guy that we think can do it. If there's anything more that the Long Island Environmental Voters Forum can do to assure his election, you let us know.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dick. Really appreciate it. Okay, so next we're going to have a special guest who was not able to make it today because she is actually working. She is a registered nurse She works in the ICU and has been, directly working with patients who have been infected by the coronavirus. So, I just want to say this is Nora Higgins. She was in our very first ad supporting Perry. And Logan, if you want to go ahead and take it away, Logan is going to share a video of Nora.
He will be the person that is going to feed us and lead us and see to it that if we ever have another wave of this pandemic, that
Here, is the sound not working? Let's try it again. Let's try it. Sorry about that. Let's try this again.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Nora Higgins here, or more fondly known as Nurse Nora. I did want to welcome you all to this exciting event today, and I hope you glean a lot of good information and make your vote count. I'm honored to be talking about Perry Gershon today. I've grown to know him, and I know that he will be the person that is going to feed us and lead us and see to it that if we ever have another wave of this pandemic, that we are prepared and that we are protected. It's important. This virus has shown us just how important the workforce is all over the world, but particularly here on Long Island. People were, notarized for their contributions, but without those contributions, so many other systems would have failed. And I know Perry appreciates that, and he's going to take care of us. I was also very proud to see that Perry was out at one of the rallies last weekend, one that my daughter and I particularly attended. And it's just so nice to see that he is taking the time to be with the people.
Okay, so that was again Nora Higgins, an ICU nurse who's been working very hard to help patients who are affected by the coronavirus. So next up, we are going to have Brian Schneck from UAW 259. Brian is a labor leader. UAW has endorsed Perry, and labor is just such a huge part of this movement. So take it away, Brian.
Thank you, and good morning. Again, my name is Brian Schneck, and I'm president for Local 259. And UAW Region 9A has made the decision to endorse Perry Gershon for this congressional race. Region 9A is made up of course, Local 259. We are auto workers, also Local 365, Local 2110, Local 2320, 2325, 2179, 1508, and 7902. Our union has its strength because of our diversity within the union. We have auto workers, manufacturing workers, workers from the Guide Dog Foundation right here in Smithtown, NYU, Columbia, New School, Honeywell, legal aid defenders in New York City, and civil legal services also in New York City. So we are a very diverse union, and that's where we get our strength. And I could say this, Lee Zeldin, his voting record and campaign contributors defines exactly who he works for. And he is not working for us. He is working for the corporations and the money power in this country. Regrettably, he gets away with this facade that he's a champion for working people. Well, I got to tell you, if you examine his voting record and his campaign contributors, he's our enemy. He's not our ally. The UAW believes that Perry Gershon will not only vote he will not vote to put a greater tax burden on working people and give more tax cuts to corporate America and also the rich. The UAW believes that Perry Gershon shall fight to improve our healthcare system and broaden coverage for Americans rather than conspire, as Lee Zeldin has done, to take away healthcare from millions of Americans. The UAW believes that Perry Gershon shall fight to protect collective bargaining rights and also enhance those bargaining rights to cover more workers in this country. We believe that our weakened movement over the last few decades has caused a lot of the tensions and problems that Americans are facing today with systemic racism, with a broadening population of working people that have fallen out of the middle class and now into the middle class and are at poverty levels. We have too much damage that has been done on working people, and we clearly need a champion to fight for us, not someone that is going to pretend to be our advocate and voting against us. That's what we find with Lee Zeldin, and he just has to go. So it's not about Lee Zeldin. It's about us. It's about our future, about what we want, and we need a representative in DC that is going to fight for us. So we believe, and we have the full confidence that Perry Gershon shall be that champion. Lee Zeldin is the problem. Perry Gershon, we believe, is the solution. So join with us and support Perry Gershon. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Brian, so much. That was awesome. Rise up, fellow workers. All right, so next up, introducing Perry, we have Pat Halpin. Pat is former Suffolk County executive. So thank you, Pat, for being on, and take it away.
Hey, it's great to be here, and great to be here for my good friend Perry. I was asked to introduce Perry, and I always think back to when I first met him, which was about two and a half years ago. Of course, in a diner in the town of Brookhaven. Where else do you meet? And a friend of mine said, "You got to meet Perry Gershon." I said, "Well, who's Perry Gershon?" So I met him. This guy comes in with a Mets hat. I said, "Okay, I like him already because he understands what it means to never give up." And he talked about why he wanted to run for Congress 2 years ago. And it was very straightforward, no ego. It was really about service. And he talked about his family having a tradition of service in a variety of different ways. And he talked a little bit about his background. I said, "Perry, look, I've run a bunch of times. This is hard. This is harder than anything you're going to do. It's going to mean you're going to not only have to get out there and raise money in ways that, that require you to frankly get out there and ask all your friends and their friends to come out and support you, but to get out there and make sure that the voters meet you." Well, Perry did that. And over the course of that campaign, he went from somebody who had zero name recognition, except for his close family and friends, to somebody who almost beat Lee Zeldin within a couple of points. Right after that election, I called him up and said, "Perry, you must run again. You've got to come in." He goes, "Well, Pat, I don't know." He said, "This is, I gave it everything I gave. My family was with me, my son, my wife, everybody was behind me. My mother, my sister, everybody helped in every way that they could. I came close, but I don't know if I could do this again." I said, "Perry, let me just share my experience. The first time I ran for the state assembly, I came close but lost. The next time that seat became open, I won it. And I was the first Democrat in 116 years. Same thing happened with county executive. First time I ran, I lost. Next time around, I won. You have laid a foundation that you can't walk away from, and you really have to do this again. I know you know how hard it's going to be. It's going to be even harder in 2 years, but you cannot walk away." Well, Perry's the type of person who doesn't walk away. He doesn't walk away from a fight. He doesn't walk away from his principles. He doesn't walk away from the things that matter. And he knows that just as important this election was 2 years ago, this year it's even more important. So I'm really happy to be here to introduce Perry Gershon, because I know what he's going to do. He's going to fight for common sense gun control, whereas the person he's going to replace has worked day and night to weaken the gun laws we have here in New York and allow people who have these phony baloney licenses from other states to come in here and walk and not have New York's laws apply to them. He's going to fight for the environment while we have an administration in Washington that is doing everything it can to roll back the environmental laws that we have. He's going to fight to strengthen them. He's going to fight for the middle-class families to restore the deductibility of state and local taxes. How many people have gone in to their account last year and saw that they couldn't deduct the full amount of their interest and their property taxes and their state income tax? He's going to fight to end double taxation. And that's why I'm fighting for Perry. And it's my honor, my privilege to introduce Perry Gershon, our next congressman from the 1st Congressional District. Perry, God bless you. We're with you 1000%. Now we've got to do our part and get everybody out to vote over the course of the next week and a half. They could do the early voting. They could be voting absentee. And if they don't do either of that, they better show up in a week and a half and vote and pull that lever. I guess I'm old now. Forget about the lever. Fill in that circle. Perry, take it over.
Pat, and thank you to everybody for joining. I appreciate it. I won't talk too long. It's a gorgeous day today, and we should all take advantage. But I wish we were all together live. It's great to have people on a rally. It's hard when I can't hear anybody cheering, but I feel your hearts with me, and it's very, very meaningful. And thank you for all the time you're putting in. We're going to get this done. So let me open with a few notes about today. While we're doing this, there are over 1,200 second lieutenants graduating from West Point. And tomorrow is the 245th birthday of the U.S. Army. And I mention all this because we cannot cede veterans in this district to Lee Zeldin. I am running here to represent everybody. And the veterans are such an important part of this district. We don't talk about them enough in this campaign. And I got to give a shout out to them. So the stakes for this election are high. We all know that. We're a nation right now at its tipping point. There are people in the streets protesting and demanding change, and coronavirus has just laid open the wounds of our country. We've got to heal them. That's what's making me run for office. Economic wounds, racial, healthcare injustice, it's all part of a problem, and it's now all on the table for us to fix. And we do it by uniting America, not by dividing America, as this current president desperately tries to do. I thank everybody here who was on my team in 2018, and we almost got it done then, and this is the year we will do it. So everybody's got to ask, why is this year different? I get asked that question all the time. And the number one answer is Lee Zeldin himself. Zeldin is wrapped around Donald Trump. He's become even more hyper-partisan, if that's possible, than he was before, and he's doing it at the expense of us here on Long Island. His blindness to Trump's inaction on COVID and his completely obliviousness to the protests that are going on now in his own district demanding change is reason enough why he's going to lose the election in November. We're going to hold him responsible for his votes twice to repeal the SALT cap, and his vote against prescription drug pricing reform. Two issues that go to the heart of what people need in this district and on Long Island. And he opposed the HEROES Act, which is going to bankrupt our state, our county, because we need to get money here. And Zeldin did not vote to support us. And we cannot let any voter forget that. That's the Lee Zeldin I'm running against. Zeldin goes to his constituents. He doesn't meet with them. He doesn't hold himself accountable. I will be a different congressman. I am all about being here and in front of people and listening. Crisscrossing the district for the last 3 years, I've proved just that. Attending fire department barbecues, outdoor festivals, meeting voters, talking to them, building relationships. those are the things that a good congressman does, and those are the things I will continue to do once I get in office. Last September, I started holding monthly town halls, something Zeldin hasn't done since April 2017. I have no fears. I have thick skin. I've gone to Republican strongholds in this district, like started in Shirley and Kings Park and in Riverhead. At our Patchogue Forum, I called on a guy in the front row wearing a MAGA hat, and I was happy to take a question and answer it. I am here to respond to everybody, not just Democrats. And we've continued to do these town halls. This Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we're going to have our 11th town hall of the campaign. I am the only candidate in this race who's engaged with voters on a constant basis, and I'm going to keep doing that through November and through my first term in office. I know this district. I know the people. I know what they want in their representative. They want someone who's going to fight for them and be their leader. They want someone who can think independently. And everybody who knows me knows I certainly do that. And that's exactly what I'm going to continue to do when I'm in Congress. So with that, I think we have 2 commercials that are airing on TV right now that we want everyone to see. And then I'll come back and speak for another minute or 2.
Lee Zeldin thinks Donald Trump has done everything right with coronavirus. Lee Zeldin thinks Donald Trump has done everything right with coronavirus. What planet is he living on? Suffolk County got hammered by their failures. I'm Perry Gershon. I'm running for Congress, and I approve this message to clean up their mess. I'll stand up for more coronavirus tests so we can feel safe, more funding for our first responders, and make healthcare a right for everyone in Suffolk County. Lee Zeldin won't hold Trump accountable, but I will. Lee Zeldin.
An American president uses military force against peaceful protesters, and our Congressman, Lee Zeldin, still supports Donald Trump. Democrat Perry Gershon is tough enough to beat Zeldin. Perry knows Black Lives Matter. He'll fight racial inequality and support common sense criminal justice reform. Perry will do what's right for us at a time when so much is wrong. We need new leadership to bring us together.
I'm Perry Gershon, and I approve this message.
So I just want people to see what I'm wearing, because that's what's so important here. And that's what this county is all about. Speaking up for our working class people, our veterans, we're all the entire constituency here. There is no one part of us that's more important than another. And we've got to keep focused on that. So I'm going to wrap up speaking to my most ardent supporters, my friends on the campaign, and very sincerely, your support is everything. To help this campaign, though, there are 3 things that each and every one of us on this call can do. Put a yard sign up in your yard or on the street, or help distribute our signs. The more people see our yard signs, the more people want to vote for us. Call people in your neighborhood, second thing, to make sure that they've mailed in their ballot. And Hannah's going to talk about our program for making sure that people are mailing in their absentee ballots. And there are going to be 45,000 voters, we think. 2 years ago, there were only 25,000 voters, and that was considered high turnout. There could be 50,000 voters. We need to make sure our voters, the people we know are our supporters, get their ballots in. And then the last thing is to email everyone you know in the district a postcard when we'll supply the graphic that asks them to join in voting for me. It's just an extra solicitation. But if each and every person on this call reaches out to their friends, that's that more advertising for the campaign. 3 things you can do. Really appreciate your being on the call. Hannah's going to talk, and then we're going to say anyone who wants to can go, but I'll stick around to answer questions on the call as well, because I like answering questions, but I don't want to keep people from the great outdoors. But take it away, Hannah.
Okay, guys, thank you, Perry. So if you can hear me, let me make sure. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Great, awesome. Guys, to be able to help Perry, the best thing you can do is let people know that you support him. And again, there's a couple ways to do that. One is to post a yard sign in your yard. You can email, and after this, we will immediately send you an email follow-up with the information you need. So you can send an email to yardsignsforperry@gmail.com. And again, you'll get that email. We'll send it to you. If you want to get a yard sign, so yardsignsforperry@gmail.com. Prominently post that in your yard or your window. The second thing you can do is contact Democrats in your neighborhood. Logan Gershon, our field director and Perry's son, has been finding Democrats in folks' neighborhoods for them, and you can just give them a call and make sure that they send in their absentee ballot. Every single absentee ballot that is sent in, we can track that, and we know that we have a vote for Perry. And like Perry said, there's 45,000 to 50,000 people who are going to vote in this election, so every single vote counts. And then lastly, we are going to, when we email you, every single one of you will get an email right after this. We will email you a picture graphic of a postcard that says, please join me in supporting Perry Gershon. You might think it's a small effort, but every single person that you let know that you're supporting Perry, that's huge influence, and that's way better than anything else that we can do to convince people to vote. People will trust you. If you say you're voting for someone, then they'll trust you if they know you. So please send that out. That is all we have for that. So if folks want to jump off, thank you so much for being on. And if you want to stay on for the next maybe 10 minutes, we can do a little bit of Q&A. If you have questions, the best thing to do is to just raise your hand so we can see it in the screen. You can also type it into the Zoom group chat on the side here if you have a question, and Perry can read that. But if you have a question, raise your hand the way that I'm doing right now, if you can see that, and Logan will unmute you.
Or type it in, because I certainly can't see all the hands. I can only see a fraction of the people on the call. There were, at the height, 95 people on this call, as I was giving my remarks. So it's great to have that kind of turnout on a sunny Saturday afternoon. I'm impressed. We were striving for 50 plus, so this is great turnout. And thank you to everybody once again, and we'll try to do some questions now. And Larry Smith, I thought I saw you, so why don't you go first? Got to be unmuted, Logan.
Mute.
I think you're good.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Perry, all that I can say is that, and my wife questions it continually, how I could be so absolutely in favor of Perry Gershon. She says to me, tell me one thing that you and Perry disagree on. Frankly, I could not. And from that point of view, Perry sold me in the last campaign. As far as I'm concerned, he's done an outstanding job. Perry, you are a great hope here. And I, for one, will continue to support you.
Great, thank you. Why don't we go to
one other question, if I may, Perry?
Okay.
Part of it. There was, I got something in the mail today. It was kind of a negative mailer from who knows who the P.O. Box 14560 is. Have you seen it?
Is this the one with me on the
With
back
the
of a
oil,
truck, or the oil tanks?
Yeah,
there is a PAC out there that is supporting Nancy Goroff, one of the primary challengers, that's sending out negative information on me. and really just spitting out the lies that Lee Zeldin used in his campaign 2 years ago. I certainly am not a fossil fuel investor. I am dedicated to clean energy. It's such a priority for me. And it's terrible to see Democrats attacking other Democrats. That's not what we're all about. And I'm sorry Nancy's doing that. And we've got to stay united. Whoever wins this primary, I'm going to be behind them. I expect it to be myself. But I want each and every person on this call to be committed to support the winning Democrat. That's how we beat Lee Zeldin. Lee Zeldin is the bad guy here. It's not Nancy, it's not Bridget, and it's not me. But thank you for that question. I'm going to go to Raffaello, who's put his hand up on the chat. Raffaello Carone, Logan.
Give me 1 second.
And Hannah, while we're doing that, could
Still
you
on.
type in
I don't think
the
he's
for
still on. Go
everybody?
to someone else.
What's that, Logan?
I don't think it's still on. Go to someone else.
Oh, all right. All right, Janet Murphy. And before you go, Hannah, could you put out the email address for the yard signs in the chat for everybody? Janet.
Hey, Perry, good morning. And thank you, Hannah, for putting this together. I appreciate it. I'm wondering if the campaign has any door hangers. I know we can't ring doorbells and we can't engage face-to-face because of the virus, but I would have no problem walking up and down my street with a list of Democrats in the 43rd ED, which is where I live in Canaan Lake in North Patchogue, and hanging door hangers. I know we can't put them in mailboxes, but we could put them on mailbox posts. We could put them on storm doors from the outside. Door hangers are really nice, especially if you put your signature on the bottom and people know that you were really there and you recognize them. What's the plan?
I can speak to that real quick. So yeah, we don't have door hangers specifically that you can hang on a doorknob, but we do have flyers, pamphlets, or palm cards, whatever you want to call them. And yes, if you want to get a list of Democrats and go around your neighborhood and drop those, don't put it in a mailbox, but
Right.
you can slide it into the storm door, or you can, put it under, put it wherever it makes sense. We do have those. And if you're interested, you should email Logan at logan@perrygershon.com.
You might want to, and I'm just throwing this out there, maybe you can put something like that in an email or a text message so that other supporters know that it's available. Because a lot of people that I've spoken to are thinking that because there's social distancing, there's nothing available to get in your face. And this is as in your face as you could get. So maybe we can let everybody know that they can do this if they want to, especially leading up to the primary and the GOTV. If it's all we can do, then I think we need to do.
Okay, I think that's a great idea, and we will figure out a way to do it. So why don't we go to Taylor Cassell, and then Bill Hartz, and then Henry, in that order.
Hi, everybody. My question is about police reform. Basically, a lot of the people who I talk to and are really kind of worried about what's happening right now. We're seeing Black men killed by police at unprecedented levels, and it's troubling if you're a Black American. Now, as a white person saying that, it's kind of not really my place to speak about it, but I don't see anybody else speaking about it, so I might as well. So how would you support structural reform within the police department of Suffolk County?
Well, in a bunch of ways. I mean, for one, as a congressman, I can implement federal action. And I am very impressed with the bill that the House put forward this week that would, among other things, ban chokeholds nationally in police departments. And it would codify anti-lynching legislation that should have gotten through the Senate, but was objected to by Rand Paul. certain things that just make common sense that we should do at a national level. I'm also impressed by what the state did yesterday by repealing Rule 50A and really taking a step forward for transparency in policing. I think that there's just such a cry to do that and to take these steps. I've personally taken part in 7 demonstrations so far in the last 10 days or so. And as soon as this call is over, I'm heading to Riverhead. That's why I've got the black shirt on to take place in another demonstration. I think it's important that I and other candidates, I hope other candidates are out there and showing our support, because Lee Zeldin is on the other side of this. He's saying that the demonstrators are these violent animals. Well, I've been to 7 demonstrations. There's no violence here. There are some people at a Smithfield event that I was not at who tried to get the protesters to be violent, counter demonstrators. But the people who are demonstrating in this district have a real cause that they're behind, and Zeldin is completely oblivious to it because he's not here. But thank you for that question, Taylor. Bill Hart, you're next.
Hi, Perry. Great to see you, and thanks for bringing us all together for this event. I think your tone in terms of uniting us is exactly the right one. I think it's really discouraging to me when I see other candidates putting out messages and mailers that really try to divide us, which of course is Lee Zeldin's favorite tactic. And I was curious, I saw, I think it's in today's Newsday, there's an op-ed pointing out that Nancy Goroff's own polling is now showing her 2 points behind you.
Good.
And so I wanted to know, I'm sure that heartens us all, but is that consistent with what your polls are seeing? And, you know, how do you view that? Is that why she's so scared?
Well, from my point of view, I like to be the underdog. So I am running like I'm behind, regardless of what the polls show. And I think for everyone on this call, you have to look at it that way. We need everybody to turn out. And if you assume that you're winning, someone may decide their vote isn't necessary. Look how we got to where we are. People thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. We cannot take anything for granted in this election, whether it be the primary or the general election. I think Nancy's poll is a pretty decent snapshot of where things are. It's got Nancy and I competing. We're the 2 on TV the most, so there's some sense to that. And Bridget is behind by a substantial margin, but she's not on TV in Brookhaven, so that makes sense too. Or even here or the North Fork. Bridget is a very low TV presence, so it makes sense that people don't know her. The problem with this election, first off, the good thing about this election is we're going to have amazing turnout for a primary. The problem with this election is we're going to have amazing turnout for a primary, people who have never voted in a primary before, and the only place they're able to learn about their candidates is on television, because we're not able to campaign. So the human contact is missing. So that gives people who get on TV a real advantage. And not everyone sees TV. Someone just commented to me that they're not a cable subscriber, so they don't see it. But most people, if you want to hit most households, you get yourself on TV. And so that's the reason that this polling makes sense. But whether it makes sense or not, everybody has got to act. I can't stress this enough. Like, we're behind, and we've got to make sure our voters come out. And all of my passion is here. I want to win this so badly. I let people down 2 years ago by not beating Zeldin, and I will not let it happen again. But I've got to get over the finish line on the 23rd of June. So thank you. Thanks for the question. Thanks for being on this call and listening. Before I go to the next question, which is going to be Henry, Bill Pickens, who narrated our TV commercial, the second one, and has been a strong supporter and civil rights leader in this district, NAACP member. He wanted to join to say a few words. So Logan, why don't you put Bill on?
Bill, go ahead.
Hello, Perry. We're going to win this. I've got a good vibe here in Sag Harbor. Keep talking about what happened out there in Minneapolis and keep talking about the future of our country and race relations. Race relations is being tattered and scattered by Trump. And we need to come together as a united nations, not an untied nation. So you're leading the charge. We're your army, and we're going to pull this off. We're working hard here in Sag Harbor. We've got signs everywhere. Lisa brought some new signs over, and I got them scattered all over the beach and all over everywhere. So together with our team and the hope and dreams will come to fruition, we're going to take this thing on the 23rd and have you on your way to Congress. That's our mission, and we're going to accomplish it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to need to cut this off in a second because I need to get to the next rally, as I said. But I promised Henry that we'd call on him, and I don't want to let down anyone's promise. So Henry, why don't you do the last question for everybody?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Clearly, it's tragic what's happening. You know, like clearly over the last couple of weeks, we've seen that our police system needs to seriously be restructured. Do you agree with that, like as a potential option? And do you think these Suffolk County cops are paid too much? I think they're like paid highest in the country.
Here's the thing about our police. The Suffolk County police, for the most part, do a very good job. I've had great encounters with the police of Suffolk County, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm not a big believer in the good policemen here. Having said that, we need to make sure that the police nationwide, everywhere, accept and give the same justice to blacks and whites and all brown people. You should not have two different forms of justice depending on what your background is or your skin color or what neighborhood you're in. That's not what America is all about. And we've got to do better than that. We must find a way to have our police honor all of society. Things like body cams, mandatory body cams, are steps in the right directions. Transparency, like getting rid of Rule 50A that Cuomo did yesterday, steps in the right direction. We can all work together and do things that are right for this country. And that is what I'm for. Let's make the police responsive for everyone without exceptions. Let's work for that perfect record. And let's not blame good people for what bad people do, but let's also not fool ourselves into thinking we don't have some people who need to correct their action. I think together, working together, we will figure it out. I believe in America, I believe in Suffolk County, and I believe in the good people who are leading us. That does not mean the president. He needs to be replaced in November. He is trying to stir the pot. But there are so many good people working for all of us, and those are the ones we're supposed to get behind. Thank you. I'm going to end it with that. And very, very sincerely to everyone, thank you for joining. Thanks for your participation. I really appreciate it. Take care.